Chuck tonight, or is he ill?
Yep, he said he was coming. I talked to him right about 4:30. He said he was going to be here right at 7. So.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. He said he was feeling better.
He says that. I don't want it. Supposed to go to Williamsburg. I do not want it.
You want to bring him over here?
Put him.
Almost time.
There he is.
Hear the echo.
Oh. Can't get the.
6:52.
What does that motto mean? Like love, friendship, and knowledge, or something like that?
We're missing somebody.
Love conquers.
I don't know who's supposed to be here.
Depending on the declension.
Yeah,
I'm not
depending
sure
on
they
which
got
one
the
you
declension right.
Robbie said they weren't coming.
Let's see.
That's
I
pretty
never
right.
got a
the
response
love
from Mr.
part,
Braswell.
and Omnia, I can
So
figure
I'm
out
assuming
means
he's not going to be here.
everything. or all.
Okay.
And then I know that whenever I was speaking with
I made copies of this ordinance, I thought,
Hello, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you too.
just in case they needed to see what the.
Mr.
it wasn't in
Simpson
the
wasn't
packet.
feeling well, so
Okay.
Yeah, I did put that
got
one
a
in there.
chance.
I did reference it.
And he's here.
Yeah, that's right. So I thought maybe.
And then Mrs. Mack, she's
I
the one
referenced
who's playing
findings.
it now, but she'll just have to complete her training.
Try to make it as easy as I could for my.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We
Yep.
got our 5.
Got a full house.
All right. Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it.
Also the agenda, we're gonna put something on hold, I don't remember.
That's okay, yeah. So, so this one is, we'll go on through, so, typically, we'll
What's
You
going on
can
in the
introduce
plan
this
process?
item. refer to Mr. Snyder. give
Just
us-
same old craziness as usual.
And at that point, we'll open the.
We had a water main break at our building.
Swear in anybody.
That's what I heard. I was
And
had,
This portion right
my
here,
partners was in
we still have to have.
trial in courthouse and
Advertising.
Knocked out water to most of that block there.
Declare it open. Anybody
That
can
one, and
speak
then
if they
across the
choose.
street, ours.
But
I guess we're on the same
staff
system.
recommended that table until the MPO and
You have to leave early?
CDOT work
I
out.
left early because of the meeting tonight, so I was gonna leave early either way, but,
oh, you've been cheated then. You need to take off tomorrow. 'Cause
we were
Because it may not
offered
be
the
done by
chance
the
to
next
leave
week or
early
not.
if we had to go to the
And this
bathroom.
is the, this is a portion of the development ordinance
Unfortunately,
that goes
for me, I did
along
not,
with this
so
accessory structure.
I stayed.
And it sounds great.
How are you
Sir.
Good, good.
Number 4
And this is
on the
the
agenda.
portion of the ordinance that goes along.
Garage in front of this building.
Oh, here,
Yeah. Make the decisions.
okay.
You can use this one.
Get this up here.
Probably just
Need
gonna
an
wash
extra
your
copy?
hands.
Oh, yeah. Blue work?
Yep. Robbie thought one would be enough for both of us,
Yeah,
so we
that's
could
right.
share it, but
I don't know if there's any in those drawers or not.
share
I
pens.
forgot that it didn't really.
That's okay. There may be some, there may not.
Yep. I didn't know
Oh, yeah.
There's lots of cool stuff down
They
there.
sprung for the desk with drawers.
There's no food in there. Well,
All right. Anything, you got this, that came in the mail on Monday, I think. Whatever. That was yesterday.
did you happen to scan it?
I didn't, but I sure can.
Scan it, send it to me. Yep, because I file all that
You wanna
stuff.
hold that and then me, or do you just want me to send it to you?
You can keep it.
Gotcha, perfect.
I just need the scan one because I file everything digitally. I hate paper.
I don't blame you the same way.
What you this?
You will need that, actually. It's not often you'll see that at a planning board. Yes, but we found the one time where there's a planning board evidentiary hearing, and boy, were they mad about it. Council.
Well,
suggested. Just some minor changes to easily fix that.
Thursday, October the 26th, 2023, planning board meeting, 7:00 p.m.
I just made it known that really something as minor as this, either say no to everybody, you create a specific standard that they have to meet, or you get rid of it. 3 cases there. To me, allowing it under a very specific criteria. But
Thank you. I just went up there and get a drink.
problem.
Really demonstrate. That's not actually, that's higher than.
It's not possible, yeah, it's not possible. It's just you either demonstrate it or you don't.
No, because there's clear and convincing evidence, which is a higher standard than Honda standard.
All I know is they have to meet these 3 in their opinion, and as long as they do that, then they have to award the permit.
Well, that's kind of discretionary though.
It is discretionary. It's similar to like a special use permit, whereas if they meet those criteria specified, and they demonstrated it with clear and convincing evidence, without dispute to the contrary, then the board shall grant the permit. But here, it's a little different. This ordinance is really old. But
This is one of my pet peeves too, prior to.
prior to, yes,
Before. I use the term before.
I write an ordinance too, because of
Or
the way
subsequent to,
I could write state law very easily. Just write in passive tense and you're good to go.
Well, use five words when two.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of two.
Almost. Well, we work on all that.
This is also where final action must appeal.
Right.
Like everything else,
This one could be.
it's not. It's not the-
But it's an evidentiary appeal, so it'd probably go to Superior Court.
Good evening. Notwithstanding the clock in the back, my AT&T cell phone says it's 7 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Okay.
First thing we should do is pledge allegiance. You would all stand if you may. Ken? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business is the review and adopt the agenda. Any additions or deletions? Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the agenda.
Second.
I second.
All right, Mr. Threat seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Unanimously. Approval of minutes, July 27th. I appreciate the planning board that met that day. My wife's surgery came out well, except a little bit long. Can we have a comment or motion to approve from somebody who was there?
I'll make a motion, we approve them as they stand.
Second.
I'll second it.
All right, Mr. Thread again, seconds. All those, all
Aye.
those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nay? No nays. Unanimously. Evidentiary hearing items. A request to locate accessory structure in front of a primary structure at 7577 Happy Hill Road, Stokesdale. Justin, will you present this case to us, please?
Yes, before I do, we probably need to go ahead and swear in the witnesses, staff included. Any testimony, including the staff report, will go into the evidence of the record.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Have a
Oh,
final
did you,
hearing?
thank you for bringing that. So I'll, you just want me to go ahead and do everybody all at once?
Yeah,
I can do that.
I think anyone who's gonna be testifying, have them place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand.
All right, sounds good. And I've got some sheets here as well for you to sign if you want to. So we'll do that afterwards, after I finish it. All right.
Anybody else planning to speak on this matter? Okay.
Got one? Nope. Good, all right, works. Y'all want to, you okay with swearing, or you need to affirm? Good with it?
Either way.
Sounds good. You solemnly swear that the evidence that you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Okay, so this is a request to locate an accessory structure in front of a primary structure. The property is located at 7577 Happy Hill Road. It's approximately 1,740 feet north of the Monty Drive intersection, Guilford County Tax Parcel 164961. So this request is coming to the planning board per section 4-5.2 of the Stokesdale Development Ordinance. Subject property, which contains 10.15 acres, is located within the town limits of Stokesdale despite its Kernersville address and is zoned AG agricultural. The planning board, acting in a quasi-judicial capacity, will decide whether the request is consistent with the following standards. 1, that the proposed accessory structures will not be intrusive. 2, that the proposed accessory structures will be in keeping with the residential character of the surrounding area. And 3, that the proposed accessory structures will not interfere with the vehicular or pedestrian traffic. So, the general character of the area, this parcel is in a primarily rural residential area, agricultural and low-density, single-family residential uses in the area. To the north, you have a single-family residential agricultural property. To the south, single-family residential. To the east, across the road is single-family residential and agricultural. And to the west is currently undeveloped forested land adjacent to the Oak Ridge extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction. There are no designated historic landmarks on or adjacent to the subject property, and there's no cemetery shown to be located on the property. This is within Stokesdale Fire District. It'll be private septic system and well, and Happy Hill Road is a NCDOT maintained residential street. The request would not have any impacts on the school system. The general topography is gently sloping, except towards the back of the property where it becomes more steeply sloping. There are no regulated floodplains on the property, there's no map wetlands on the property, and no map streams on the property, and the property is not located in a designated water supply watershed. Per the Stokesdale Land Use Plan from 2007, the plan recommendation is residential. And in your package, you do have a consistency statement as prepared by staff stating that the requested action is or is not consistent with the recommendation. Well, you have to determine if it is or is not consistent with the recommendation of the Stokesdale Future Land Use Plan. However, the action, if approved, would not require a plan amendment. And then you will have to base your decision using findings of fact relative to the standards listed in my previous staff report. Findings of fact should be stated as such and shall follow procedural guidance from North Carolina General Statute 160D 406 for quasi-judicial decisions. Factual testimony from staff, the applicant, and any witnesses with legal standing shall be included when making a decision. Conjectural testimony or comments from anyone without demonstrated legal standing may be heard, but shall not be the primary basis for making this decision. Staff is recommending approval.
Mr. Chairman, one other thing, if I might add, this is a little bit of a unusual ordinance, and so I've had circulated the actual ordinance, and on the second page, on the back page, it says that the planning board shall consider the following. One, the pattern of development of the surrounding area, the location of principal and accessory structures and buildings in the vicinity, the extent of existing or proposed vegetation and/or topographical characteristics that may shield the proposed structure or building from view from adjacent properties and public rights of way, the proposed setback from the property lines and/or public right-of-ways, site distances necessary to preserve unimpeded line of sight for vehicles and pedestrians, and other relevant information that may be presented. So those are the ordinance says that those are the kinds of things you look at, and of course, there's a catch-all. You can consider anything you think is relevant also, but those are things that are listed in the ordinance that I wanted to call to your attention.
Thank you. Any questions from the planning board?
I do have a question. This may not be the time to bring it up, but how far is the new buildings and house from the front of the property? I didn't see that.
And maybe this would be time to hear from the
Okay.
proponent to
Okay,
discuss
okay,
that.
yeah,
with-
okay, that's fine. Yeah,
that
I'm fine.
if that might be the way to proceed on that point.
Any other comments before we let the proponent? You have something to add to this?
Evening, gentlemen. Basically, what I'm looking,
I need your name and address for the record.
sorry, name is Don Farquhar, 7577 Happy Hill Road. What I'm looking to do is build a garage an area of my property that's already pretty much cleared. I'm trying to preserve the woods around my property. And the topography around the back of my property is quite steep, so it makes it difficult to build back there. The location would be the front of the area property line behind my neighbor's home that's directly in front of me, Anthony's home, is about 180 to 190 feet from the property line. From the side property line, it's anywhere from 65 to 70, just general where I've kind of located it. So that's where it's gonna put it at on the property. It will be back more towards my home than it will be towards the road. The crest of the driveway, where it comes from Happy Hill Road to the majority of the property, is 20 feet difference between the crest and the actual roadside. So there's a 20-foot difference in elevation, and then there's another 15-foot in elevation back downhill after the crest of the driveway.
Any questions from the board?
Where is your septic system on the,
Septic is behind the home.
okay, so this.
Wouldn't affect that at all.
Yeah, this is, okay.
I have a question concerning your neighbors, the one that's going to be 60 feet away from the property line. How far away is his house from your proposed garage there?
His structure that he built is, I'd probably say 15 to 20 feet off the property line.
That's his home, isn't it?
Yeah, that's gonna be his home. And I've talked with Adam, and he has no problems with me building there.
Okay.
I've talked with Adam, Anthony, Daryl is on the, you'll have to excuse me, I'm still trying to figure out my bearings as far as north and south around here. To the south side of me is Daryl's home. And, none of my neighbors have conveyed any will against me building. Actually, most of them are pro.
Okay. It's going to be a garage, or was it going to be a workshop?
There will be a workshop also. My hobby is working on my cars and my motorcycles, so.
I'm sure that if they are irritated, they will come talk to you then.
Yeah, me and Adam have already discussed that, and he's said the same thing. If he goes wherever, if there's ever too much noise or anything like that, just come talk to me. So,
Good.
this is my final home, so.
We agree with you on the final homes. Any other comments? I guess there's no other speakers then, right?
No.
Justin, did you get any speaker cards?
Nope, that's it. That's all the speakers that we have, and
And I will note that notice was sent, per the ordinance, to all of the potentially affected property owners that would have standing in this case.
Okay.
And there were sign posted on the property.
No.
And then the decision is up to the planning board. Any other questions, comments before we try to take a vote?
Mr. Chairman, you may, since it was I guess in the nature of a hearing, you may want to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay. I think we should do that. We didn't open one.
It's not,
close
it's not
one.
actually a public hearing, though, is it? If it's evidentiary.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, it's not technically
Yeah,
a
that's
public
right, you
hearing.
can go without.
you can just declare it closed.
This was evidentiary here, not public hearing.
Sounds good.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to approve or deny this accessory use.
Is there associated case number with you?
There's not, there's been no formal application for a structure because he had to take care of this part first through the ordinance. And I just ask in your motion, that you include any relevant findings of fact, per the Stafford,
Okay.
and a consistency statement.
Down at the bottom where it says, can clearly demonstrate to the satisfaction of the planning board. So if you put that verbiage in your motion, I think that will suffice.
Are we ready for the?
Yeah.
I'm gonna propose that, the planning board approve this action, because it is consistent with the recommendation of the Stokesdale Future Land Use Plan. Also, I perceive it not to be intrusive. Also, I perceive, it will be keeping with the residential character of the surrounding area. And thirdly, I perceive, it will not interfere with the vehicular or pedestrian traffic.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Green. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Southern has seconds. Let's take a vote. Mr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Threat,
Aye.
Mr. Sumner,
Aye.
Mr. Southern,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. Motion carries.
And just for information, Mr. Chairman, this is a final action on this request unless there is an appeal filed within 15 days. And if anyone appeals, then it would go to town council for hearing. Otherwise, if there's no appeal, then it will not appear on the town council's agenda.
Correct.
Very good. All right. Next item is a public hearing item. So since this is a public hearing, we have to open it. Is that with a vote?
Well, I think you have the authority to declare it open as the chair. I don't know that a motion is required.
For the
Public hearing.
transportation plan.
I thought that was being continued. Is that-
It will, but
Well, yeah,
we
we'll have to-
advertise as a public
Oh, I
hearing.
see, okay, got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you can open the hearing, then if you intend to continue it, then you would announce the continuance to the next meeting.
We don't need a vote, I can just declare it open.
Yes, that's correct. You can.
And then you can keep it open so that when it's actually heard, then the public will have an opportunity to speak at that subsequent hearing.
As the chairman, then I officially open this hearing. Public hearing to consider adoption of the proposed thoroughfare and collectors street plan as prepared and adopted by the Greensboro Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, WAMPO, and subsequently amending the Stokesdale Future Land Use Plan. Okay, Justin, tell us about this whole
All
thing.
right, this one's got some history, so I'm gonna go ahead and read that history just to give you the background, and then I'll let you kind of take it where you want to take it. But, so we did advertise the public hearing to consider the proposed plan that was adopted by the Metropolitan Planning Organization. This is a plan that is regularly adopted and is required to enable them to do certain planning projects and to use pass-through funds. The Metropolitan Planning Organizations coordinate federally mandated planning activities within census-designated urban areas. GWAMPO, Greensboro Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, provides multimodal transportation planning to most of unincorporated Guilford County, including the municipalities of Greensboro, Oak Ridge, Pleasant Garden, Sedalia, Stokesdale, and Summerfield. And the updated thoroughfare and street collector plan addresses the network of roadways that make up our communities, considers their functions, ensures overall network stability, balances volume and access of traffic, informs roadway design and speed limits. And the plan implements provisions of the Land Development Ordinance, establishes street design standards, manages access and connectivity, and secures rights-of-way as development occurs. This update is required to maintain consistency with the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, and the Transportation Advisory Committee, TAC, adopted the plan on May 10th of 2023, and it would replace existing 2006 collector street plan that was previously adopted by the town of Stokesdale. Typical functional street classifications that would be found in this county would be expressway, freeway, major thoroughfare, which would be similar to your, some of your interstates, but mostly like the major road networks that would connect. US 158 and C68, those would be major thoroughfares. Minor thoroughfares that they collect traffic from collector and local streets and then carry it to the major thoroughfare system. Collector roads, streets that principal functions to carry traffic between cul-de-sacs, local private streets, private drives, and streets of higher classification, but which might also provide some direct access to abutting properties. And then local streets, which would be streets that's primary function is to provide access to abutting properties, mostly for local traffic. The plan's going to be used in evaluating zoning decisions and development applications, and it would be incorporated by reference in the development ordinance as it currently is as well. So the original request and a subsequent request upon any action on the table would be for the planning board to consider recommendation to adopt the plan for the town of Stokesdale. The draft plan was posted online on the MPO's website on February 1st, 2023. There was an opportunity for public review and comment until April 3rd of 2023. There was an online public meeting held on February 16th, 2023 to review the plan and take comments. Any interested parties were able to schedule a time to discuss the plan with the MPO staff during that public review period. And I will say what has happened since this was advertised. There was a meeting with North Carolina DOT and the town of Stokesdale, and at that meeting, a question was asked by a member of the town council regarding the 158 bypass, because there is a property owner potentially affected by where the road was shown to originally go. It would impact him as far as having to potentially reserve right-of-way, potential loss of value, or the potential to, need to cluster lots or something to maintain that value of his property, or to be compensated by DOT for any sort of taking that might occur. And DOT at that meeting basically had stated that it was their intention not to follow through with the bypass as it was originally planned and programmed as part of the Transportation Improvement Program that was adopted. However, after that, subsequently, planning staff contacted the MPO and asked what they would do with that particular piece of information. They said that they could do an administrative adjustment to the map and simply issue a new map. But then they subsequently contacted Wright Archer with NCDOT, and it was determined that some more meetings and some more discussion needed to happen between the MPO and NCDOT to get on the same page. And as part of that process, they're also going to be holding a public information session with the town council and members of Stokesdale, who would then have an opportunity to voice any concerns, find out more information. And then after that, then we'll have some direction on what they're going to do with the eventual thoroughfare plan. This does, the adoption or the potential adoption by Stokesdale does actually impact Guilford County. Their planning board is holding until all of the municipalities have adopted. It also impacts the city of Greensboro, and it also impacts the MPO, who may have to go back through and do some amendments to the process. So we don't know a time frame of when this will come back. Staff is recommending indefinite tabling of this request and keeping the public hearing open so that when it does come back to you for a recommendation of town council, at that time, the public will have an opportunity to speak and find out more.
Did they say why they are abandoning?
It was understood that when the 73 interstate corridor was completed, it took a significant amount of traffic off of what was anticipated to be on 158 originally. And so by doing that, they didn't feel that it warranted the same level of improvement that it would have otherwise. So they're looking at maybe some potential realignments, widening, traffic circles, things like that. I think they discussed possibly doing a traffic circle on NC 68 because of some additional, traffic needs that they had on that corridor. But basically, the interstate project made it so it wasn't as necessary as it was in the past. And honestly, that's a big part of planning is, we're trying to read the crystal ball, and sometimes things change, and the interstate corridor significantly changed the traffic counts on 158.
Well, I can agree with that. I live on 68, and the traffic that has been moved over to 73 is very significant.
Correct.
But I was under the impression that the idea of improving 158 was to have more, a direct route from Winston-Salem to 73. And that's no longer part of it?
That's my understanding.
Okay. They've widened 158 further down then.
We'll find out. And I expect at that next public input meeting, a lot of those questions will be answered more directly.
Okay.
But DOT holds the key, holds the cards on that one.
So as it stands, our public hearing is open
Open.
and
People
we
can
have
talk
nothing to do with
tonight,
that.
people can talk next time, however they want to do it.
All right. But nobody has filled out a public comment card, so nobody else wants to speak on it. Last chance.
If you'd like to, that's okay. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure, Tommy Johnson. I live at 7769 NC Highway 68 North Stokesdale. Yeah, we were under and a couple other folks here are under the impression that this was going to be tabled tonight, and it sounds like that's where it's headed. I agree with all that Justin has said, and I think NCDOT was here recently at the town of Stokesdale and actually laid out several improvements that they are proposing in lieu of what we call the Highway 158 bypass, the northern route that we're all thought was going to get built. And several of the NCDOT people at that meeting says it's just not necessary. In fact, they just say from a personal standpoint, it's not going to happen. So, I cannot, I can't imagine that there's a lot of people in Stokesdale that are gonna be sad to hear that. But we do need to advertise, and make them aware. I don't, Justin, has the meeting been set up with DOT yet? I heard, November 2nd that they were gonna be here, but has it been set up?
I don't believe so. Craig McKinney with the Metropolitan Planning Organization is supposed to keep me in the loop on that, and also Robbie.
Yes.
And so once we hear, I'm sure that we'll get the word out. But I think somebody from DOT may have spoken a little too soon or too personally for what Wright Archer was comfortable with. So I think he wants to, take a minute to step back and talk to the MPO, make sure everybody's on the same page, and then,
Agree. So, once we figure out that, I'm sure that email that goes out for these meetings and town council meetings will go to the same people, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
We just need to make sure that the people and I know all your Stokesdale people, make sure the people know when they're gonna be here so that they can come and speak. Again, I can't speak for them, but I can't imagine there's gonna be too many people upset to hear that. Thank you.
Tommy, before you run off, you said there were alternatives thrown out. What kind of alternatives?
Well, DOT was here within the last couple weeks or
Yeah, back
so.
on, they were
I
at the regular
forgot.
meeting.
Last couple weeks, and I think Archer was here. I believe.
I think Wright was here also. I think I saw him in the back there. I don't think he said a whole lot, but.
Yeah, but
was here.
we cornered him a little bit, and the district engineer.
Yes.
They were laying out there's several intersections, see if I can remember. Maybe even I know the intersection of 65 and 68, they've got a plan for that, maybe a couple options. Going on up 68, up there where Boone Road runs into 68, there's a plan there. And I'm gonna back this way, I almost think there was a plan right out there at the old Byright.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And, they had a couple options on each intersection. Roundabouts were one of them and other improvements, but based on discussions with the NCDOT people that were at that meeting, these are in place of.
158 bypass.
Yeah. There's no need for that anymore, they say, based on just what
That
Justin
was my
laid
understanding
out.
also.
That's what I've heard. Thanks.
Thank you, Tommy. Anybody else? Public comment? This is a public hearing. You had your hand up? All right. Okay. And as chairman, can I table this whole thing?
Well, I would entertain a motion to do that if the motion is to table it indefinitely. It sounds like we don't have a date for when we're gonna hear. So if you were to table it indefinitely, then that would entail a re-advertisement when that new hearing comes up. So if you go to a definite date, there'd be no need for re-advertisement, but if it's an indefinite date, then we have to redo notice of this hearing.
But there's no definite action coming, so we are indefinitely tabled. Chair will entertain a motion doing so, and tabling this public hearing item.
I'll make motion.
Mr. Sumner makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Southern makes seconds the motion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Last thing, announcements. Next Town of Stokesdale regular town council meeting will be held on Thursday, November 9th, 9 p.m. at the town hall. Our next planning board will be Thursday, November 16th at the town hall. Chair.
And please note that that's a week earlier than it usually is.
Okay.
Because of Thanksgiving.
Right. Thank you, Justin. Anything else? Mr. Green, you were gonna say something?
No, scratching my head.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
And second?
Second.
It's easy. Mr. Green seconds, well, I was looking at Mr. Green, even though there's some that.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to intimidate me, sir.
Yeah, well. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you, public, for showing up. Gee, look at that, half an hour.
Okay.
I'm glad to see you, man, after your wife made that post on Facebook.